Okay, so today I want to talk about how to play over the tune Moment's Notice by John Coltrane. It's a tricky one and there's got some tricky changes in it for sure. So I'm gonna give you some tools how to play over this tune. You need some little licks, and the thing is, most of the books out there, when they show you how to play over 2-5-1, they show you how to play over one bar of a 2 chord and one bar of a 5 chord. In this case, there's a 2 chord and a 5 chord within one bar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So those licks are not going to work. So I'm going to give you some little licks or idioms or whatever you want to call them that actually work over a tune like this. So the first one is just this one. So and then you will go up a half step for the next. Then you can hear the changes of the tune, right? So let me try to do that over the tune. I was messing around a little bit with it. You can actually, it sounds kind of like that tune, Fascinating Rhythm. So you can kind of mess around with it rhythmically, which I hear a lot of people do. So obviously if we play like this, it's very patterny sounding. It doesn't sound like a creative solo at all. We're just trying to be able to follow the changes. So put the creativity aside and just try to learn the changes, basically. It's what the objective of this exercise. Next thing is to play the same thing, but instead of starting on the root, I start on the third. So let's see what that sounds like over the same tune. Then you can start mixing them around, and already you have some ideas that actually work. So this is, I'm assuming you're going to play this tune at a fast tempo. So this is when you get into troubles, right? Like if you are on the bandstand, there's a jam, whatever, and somebody calls this tune at a really fast tempo. If you don't have anything under your fingers, you're kind of screwed. So it doesn't matter how creative you are. It's kind of like playing country. if you've ever been in the situation where you have to play solo over a fast country tune and you don't have any country licks under your fingers, it's really hard, even though it's actually a simple, harmonically simple. It's hard to do unless you have some hands-on licks to use. So moving along, the next one starts on the 5th, I think. So it's a little bit of a different, we're going down, descending for this one. So I'm going to do this one over the same backing track here. Is that it gives you a break at the end there with the vamp, which you could treat as just E flat major or E flat major and a dominant kind of feel. Then there's a stop, a break, which a seasoned jazz musician would take the opportunity to play all the craziest things you can think of. Some kind of dominant craziness. Or whatever, you know. Alright, so moving along, little idiomatic phrase is this one. I like to play this one as kind of like a triplet. Right, so let's see how that works. I'm a little bit flexible. I'm not always playing exactly the right idiom in the right place. I'm messing around rhythmically and playing some other stuff. So you can be creative within this method, which is the idea, I guess. So when you get comfortable playing these little licks over this tune at a fairly fast tempo, you can start improvise and basing your improvisation on this thing. You can always fall back on this thing. So, you know, that's kind of what I'm aiming for. I got one more for you. The kind of John Coltrane pattern, which you can hear him play obviously over giant steps, right? So that's kind of very typical John Coltrane. So for a 2/5, it's going to sound like. So let's hear what that sounds like over this backing track. Final word, because I know I've been talking about this in my previous lessons too, that some of you, because I have students like this, they stay away from this kind of practicing because they think it's gonna make them sound like everybody else. They think it's predictable and boring, and they want to come up with something more creative, and they don't want to play patterns. Patterns is kind of a bad word in jazz improv education, which I'm trying to make the point that you need the patterns to be able to play this tune. Not necessarily. I mean, there are other ways to learn how to play this tune, but this is a good way to actually learn because, again, if you've ever been on a bandstand, somebody calls this tune at a fast tempo, what are you going to do? You can't just play your normal stuff. You need some kind of material. So once you learn this stuff, then you try to be creative. That's when you try to come up with your own ways to play this stuff based on the cliches, if you will. So that's my little point. Okay, that's all for today. I shall see you next time.